Hello everyone and welcome to round 11 of the AOR Season 7 PC Split 1 Championship. I am definitely still Justin.
And I'm Mikko.
And today we'll be racing at Suzuka in Japan. And right away at the beginning of this video, I just want to let you guys know that I wasn't in this race, unfortunately, so we'll be seeing the action from Mikko's point of view exclusively. I will be racing for the next race in India, so you guys don't need to worry about that. It's just a one-time thing. So a little bit different of a video here today, but we do actually have a replacement driver or a reserve driver who is going to be driving for Sauber in this race, and I believe that's Dark Lord, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So there are two Saubers still in this race, but we only have the one point of view, of course, as we don't know Dark Lord. He just happened to be put into the Sauber. Could have easily has been, as easily have been Ryan Littlemore or one of the other reserves. So we're gonna kick things off with qualifying as usual. No side-by-side comparison, of course, this week though. Just gonna be seeing it from Mikko's point of view. And how are you feeling about this race going into it?
Well, it's another driver favorite, I guess. So I was pretty. I didn't do too much practice, but I was pretty positive going into it. I knew my quali pace wasn't great, but I was pretty confident that my driving style was pretty okay with the tire wear.
Yeah, it is heavy tire wear on this track, and it is also one of those tracks that does punish mistakes with all these gravel traps. I mean, we could see all the gravel traps as we're driving around the track with you right now in this outlap. And that was Furkan Ozcan. I'm saying his name a little bit more accurately this week, I think. So thanks to Jem for helping me to figure that out. Another Turkish racer there. But yeah, this is a track with a lot of gravel traps and a lot of grass and stuff like that. You don't get those big, long concrete runoff areas that you see with the modern sort of Herman Tilke style track. So it's definitely a track where just keeping it on the black stuff is going to be beneficial in the race, especially. So yeah, even if slightly off the pace in quali, good chance for points, I think. I missed in the opening there. Was there a chance for rain for quali or the race?
Yeah, 31% chance of rain in the race, no rain in the quali.
Gotcha. Okay. So here we are on the option tires, making this very nice run down to the start-finish line. And going to be topping out over 190 miles an hour, probably approaching 200 miles an hour, as there's somebody in the pit lane who stays very nicely out of your way. And with these cars braking, I mean, really after turn one, I mean, you really don't even brake for turn one. You're kind of braking at the apex of turn one for turn two. And going through the S's now, very smoothly through these. Fantastic section of track for everybody. All the drivers love the Suzuka S's. And going nicely up the hill as we come to the end of Sector 1. And these are the Degners. They're not Lesmos in Japan, they're Degners. Two totally different curbs that are still kind of similar. And wow, actually braking a little bit later than I would for that. Very nicely though, nailing the apex. A little bit of oversteer coming out of the hairpin, but managing it very well. Using lots of curves, looks like about 60% of your curves. As we come down towards Spoon Corner, one of my favorite corners. I love double apex corners and that sort of thing. Just a lot of fun. Heavy on the curb on the outside there, heavy on the inside curb at the second part of the corner, using lots of exit curb. And the rest of your curves as we come down towards 130R. One of the easiest corners in F1, but at the same time one of the greatest. I mean, it's kind of like Eau Rouge at this point. It's just a sort of point and click type of thing. Ooh, heavy over the curb there. Probably lost out just ever so slightly and a little bit of time there going through there. As we come back down towards the start-finish line with the DRS open, it's 132.231. Whoa, your time was the same forwards as it is backwards.
Was it?
I think so. Oh, it says 232 here, but yeah. It was the same forwards and backwards if it's a 132.231.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry, those sort of things jump out at me. So that's good enough for 7th place with Dark Lord just behind, actually, just over 5/100ths behind you. So the Sauber is going to be starting from the 4th row of the grid. I believe there's 13 people in this race.
Yeah, something like that. I think, yeah.
Yeah, not quite a full grid, but pretty full. We've certainly had races with less people. We've definitely had races with more as well. But it's a pretty full grid. Got some reserves in, of course, and it looks like we're going to be starting this race on the intermediates. So it's probably going to be raining for the first 30% of this race, is what I would imagine, and then drying up towards the second half.
Yeah, something like that. It's not looking like it's gonna dry up instantaneously, so the the strategy here doesn't help too much, but
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy that it's suggesting 4 stints on the intermediates, that you don't even have 4 sets of intermediates.
What was even stranger to me there about that pit stop strategy is it was having you do 6 laps for all your stints, except the final stint, it was going to have you do 9 laps on the intermediates. So it was telling you to do 6, 6, 6, and then 9, which just does not sound like a fantastic plan. I would think just 7, 7, 7, 8 or something like that. Or no, that would be too many. I think it would just be all 7s, honestly, something like that. As here we are at the grid, just behind Furkan Najjan and Raiden qualifying in 5th place. Gaston Rivero, he was the newcomer in Korea who won the race. He's up in starting from P3, and we got 5 lights, and we're away. And it is 13 cars on the grid. And it is a wet start. It's definitely raining right now. So it's not just a wet track, but it is actually still raining. It might be a light rain, but it is still coming down there. Oh, as we got a couple or Granu has gone wide in the McLaren. Oh, and he's gone wide again. I'm not sure if you got some oversteer there, but you got Fat first. Or no, I'm sorry, that's Furkan Najjan alongside you, and he actually nabs the inside line at the opening section of the S's here, and he takes P6 off of you. And it looks like there's a little bit of battling up ahead with Sauber reserve driver Dark Lord, and I can't tell who he's battling with. Is that a Red Bull or a Lotus?
Yeah, really hard to tell in this rain, but
it's a Lotus. It's a Lotus.
Yeah, that's a Lotus. Yeah. So that's Gaston Rivero.
Yep. So that's Gaston, and it looks like it's so hard to tell with this rain. Yeah, he has edged out Gaston actually to take P4 in the opening lap of this race. Looks like the top 3 are kind of pulling away a little bit. But great start from both Sauber boys. You got Granu just behind, Furkan just ahead. And we're coming into Spoon, and you're braking very conservatively, and Furkan's run a little bit wide, and kind of missed the apex there a little bit, but he manages to go through without losing too much time. And you're very nicely in his slipstream, though, right now, as we're coming to the end of Sector 2.
Yeah, just trying to avoid any early lap craziness or any contact here, so...
Certainly having a look along the outside of Furkan, and he's gone a little deep into the chicane. You get a little bit of oversteer. You got lots of curves left here, though, to use. Yeah, possibly too much curves. Yep, just a little bit too much curves even to use, but that's going to give you a very nice run on Furkan, who looks like he's almost going to go defensive, but you're able to nab that inside line for turn 1 here. And going side by side, great stuff here from the pair of you. Wow, lots of room given, lots of respect given. Fantastic stuff right there. And you're actually able to get by him. Yeah. Oh wow. He is still side by side, and it looks like you were just just barely edging him out halfway through the Senna S's. That's the worst part of this track to be going side by side through is the S's. And it looks like Granu has actually edged him out as well and taken P7, and that moves you up to P6, and not too far behind Gaston Rivero in that Lotus.
Yeah, really crucial to get some clear air. It's especially on those Sennas, you can really get.
Well, we got a little lull in the action. I assume it's going to be heating up again in a moment. What sort of setup were you running? What kind of wings were you running for this? Knowing, of course, that it was going to have a 30% chance of rain.
3-1 wings. 50-50 high standard brakes, I think.
And was that pretty much your dry setup, or did you up your front wing a little bit for the rain?
That's my standard dry setup, though for the rain I did change the large
brake
discs
bias
for large discs for standard brakes. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, probably a good idea. So as we're coming to the end of lap 2, a DRS would be activating right about now if it weren't raining, and getting some more oversteer out of the final chicane there. Very tough to get the power down in these at the exit of these slow corners. The final chicane, the hairpin in sector 2. All of those types of places going to be very difficult, and it looks like Gaston's actually pulling that gap out a little bit on you now, and just under 2 seconds now, the gap up to 5th place. And you still got Granu not far behind. We're not seeing any proximity markers or anything like that just yet, but he is definitely pretty close on the mini-map. You can see there's definitely a bigger gap ahead than there is behind at the moment.
Yeah, also trying to spare trying to preserve the front tires, because that's there's not really any side which wears more than the other. It's maybe a little bit more to the front left, but pretty even on the fronts, the wear. Yeah,
definitely front limited, but not specifically one side. I mean, and I think part of that might have to do because of the sort of figure 8 configuration of the track, where it actually goes underneath itself. I think that balances out the left and right hand corners a little bit better than most tracks.
Yeah, for example, the spoon corner is really hard on the right front.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're breaking down heavily for it, and then you're just, again, with the double apex, you're just riding on that front right heavily as you're actually maintaining that gap to Gaston Rivero now. It looks like he's kind of catching up with the cars ahead, so he might actually be getting a little bit of a dirty air effect as we see 4 cars up ahead. That is 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd place, all running in very close formation there as we come to the end of lap 3 and the start of lap 4. Very nice lap from you, and you have closed down 0.4 of a second to Gaston Rivero in just sector 3.
Yeah, it's looking like they're in that dirty air, they're slowing each other down a little bit. So just that's really my chance to close up on them.
Absolutely, and who's in first at the moment? Because whoever's in first has quite a comfortable gap ahead to the rest of the field.
That must be Alex then.
Okay, yeah. So does that mean that Onage is at the head of this battle for P2?
I think it's Mercedes, so I would suspect it's Onage, yeah.
Yeah, I do believe the chicane is behind you, so I believe that's Onage in P2 at the moment, with Dark Lord in P3, the Sauber reserve driver, doing a fantastic job holding on to that podium position currently. And then we've got the 2 Lotuses. I think it's the 2 Lotuses that are ahead of you at the moment, Gaston and Furkan. Or is that Raiden?
No, Furkan is behind, I think. Because
okay.
I overtook him on the second lap, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very hard to tell what car is what in these sort of conditions. It gets extremely difficult. Normally, even from this sort of distance, it'd be pretty easy to spot what kind of cars are up the road there. But yeah, with all this spray, it's just making things very difficult. And it is, in fact, a Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
And I believe Zephyr...
He's not participating in this.
Yeah, so Raiden is the only Toro Rosso in this race. So yeah, it is Raiden just in front of Gaston Rivero doing a fantastic job just behind the podium positions. And that gap to Gaston, it just keeps closing down, less than a second now. Again, no DRS, of course, because of the weather, but certainly the battling up ahead is exactly what you needed for your race.
Yeah, sometimes it's looking like the track is drying up a little bit, especially on the last sector. It's looking like
you run very wide through that S corner.
Yeah, these intermediates don't last very long. It's actually
I mean,
pretty surprising how little they last.
Yeah. I mean, the game was telling you to pit on lap 6, and of course you didn't qualify on these tires, so yeah, they really don't last long. And going to lean now for the hairpin. Still very close to Gaston.
Yeah, Granu keeping him at arm's length.
Yeah, doing a great job managing that gap to Granu at the moment.
Really hard track to really gain time on anyone, even if they're... Or it's really dependent on the tire wear.
everyone knows this track so well too that you know, it's kind of like Spa in that respect, that everybody knows the track extremely well as going into this race. It looks like actually lost out a few tenths versus previous lap. Oh, that's because of the lean that you were running in. So actually doing a great job to keep up with this group in lean. And oh, as you get lots of oversteer. Oh no, and Dark Lord has, oh god, and someone someone almost pushed you into Dark Lord. You almost had bolts out. Wow, as you have a McLaren in your right mirror and a Red Bull in your left mirror. That was an interesting pit going on, as you've held up a Mercedes actually in the pits. Safety car, of course. So Onage gets held up in the pits massively. Is he still being held? No, he must have gone at this point.
He's in 3rd place, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so safety car is deployed though, and it's right there in Sector 1. It's that black dot on the mini-map, so we don't really have to wait very long to catch up to that safety car. But that is going to be nice, at least for pretty much everyone. Just about everyone, I imagine, was going to be pitting soon anyway. So this doesn't mean too much for the strategy as far as one person or another is concerned. It just kind of means that everyone is going to be able to have these tires last just that much longer, which will just make the race a little bit easier on everyone. And I got to say, you know, doing 27 laps on 3 sets of intermediates doesn't really seem like a lot of fun. So this is probably a welcomed kind of lull in the action here, as you've actually managed to gain a position as a result of all of this. Oh, that's because of Dark Lord crashing. Yeah, he was ahead, of course. So you didn't actually gain any positions in the pits, but didn't lose any positions either. Onage has dropped back to 3rd, so he did lose out on a position, but not too bad. Fast forwarding now to the end of lap 7, and the safety car is coming in this lap.
Yeah, and there's one car that didn't go for the intermediates, who is Trimium, who went for, I believe it's the prime tires.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, there
I mean, it is
after
drying.
3 or 4 laps, the engineer told that the rain is coming in 10 laps. So he was thinking really ahead at that point, so he must have thought, okay, there's the safety car is coming out, so there's at least two laps behind the safety car, and then the rain is gonna stop.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you know, the safety car does a lap in maybe 2.5 minutes, something like that. I mean, it's a long lap for the safety car. As actually, you have not gotten a very good restart. A little bit of oversteer coming into the start-finish line. Oh, and you've run wide at turn 1 and 2. And Fat First is going to move by, and Jack First is just behind in the other Red Bull, looking to make the same move. But it looks like you've managed to hang on to P6 in the meantime. On lap 8 now.
Really hard to keep the temperature in the tires behind the safety car.
Absolutely. I mean, I can see that you actually have the temperature readings brought up on the side there, just to kind of keep an eye on everything. They are nice and green at the moment. A little bit of overheating even on the front right there. But yeah, it's very difficult keeping the heat in the tires. Your throttle is controlled or limited when you're behind the safety car, making it nearly impossible to spin the rear tires as a real F1 driver would do. So unfortunately, it can be very difficult having that proper temperature in the tires for a restart. And the rain has definitely stopped at this point. I don't know if there's necessarily a drying line. There's definitely some rubber down. I don't know if there's a dry line yet, but it's definitely stopped raining. And with 13 cars running around, or excuse me, 12 cars running around on intermediates, that's certainly going to help dry this track up a little bit quicker. As, of course, Tremium is... do you know what compound he went on? Did he go into the primes, you said?
I think there's no point in going to the options, really, so...
Yeah, the options do not last long at this track in a race scenario or in any scenario. The just do not last very long at all. As we got some people into the pits, I assume, who are pitting for the dry tires, and that's going to move you up to P3 just behind Ryden. And
you can see already on the first corner the front tires overheating, so it is definitely time for the dry tires.
Absolutely, yeah, because as these tires start to overheat, they start to degrade faster, you get less grip on them, so I imagine that you're probably going to be looking to pit for prime tires in the next lap here.
Yeah.
Benefit, of course, being that you're going to avoid all of that traffic that was in the pit lane for all the people that pit at the end of lap 8. So hopefully pitting at the end of lap 9 means that you won't get held up or anything like that. You really don't seem to be losing time, actually, as you're 8/10 up on your previous best, or previous lap, excuse me. So you're running quite well here on the intermediates, in spite of other people going on to the primes. And using about 50% of your curves. And who is it in first at the moment, I wonder? I wonder if we'll get a look.
Onage.
Okay, so Onage, yourself, and Raiden are the group from the top sort of 6 cars that opted not to pit at the end of lap 8. And using the rest of your curves, and wow, look how overheated the fronts were coming out of Spoon. Yeah, definitely time to pit. Again, though, you're 3/10 up on your previous lap, so doing pretty well on these tires, even though they might not be necessarily matching the conditions, and just even the rears are overheating when under braking, which is absolutely amazing.
Already, so.
Yeah, that's just amazing for them to overheat under braking.
Yeah, if you think about what kind of pace you're doing on the dry tires at this point of the race, you'd probably do something like 1:35s or something like that. So being up on my previous time is actually really slow compared to that. It's almost 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like you've actually lost out on a position. I'm going to assume that's Tremium that jumped you as a result of all this. And actually, I'm going to assume that's Tremium that's finishing the Senna S's. That's finishing the S's right now, who's just coming towards the Lesmos. So he has a huge lead over the rest of the pack at the moment.
Do you mean the Degnas?
Yes. yes, I do. I should have known that was going to happen.
Well, not a huge mistake, but it's looking like the cars in front pretty much, the 3 cars in front are pretty much tied there.
Yep, very similar pace. Raiden...
That's Red Bull, so I think that's Fat First who's gained positions as well.
And Raiden, of course, pit with you at the end of lap 9. The 2 cars ahead of you, of Raiden, will be on 1 lap older tires. So certainly you guys might be in a good position to take the fight to the Red Bull and Lotus up ahead, and maybe get yourself back up into the fight for the podium positions. Not too far ahead of this group of 3 is where the podium positions are, so not too far back. And in these sort of mixed conditions, you know, anything can happen. As we lose connection to Dark Lord, he was, of course, the one that crashed and caused the safety car, so no surprise that we're losing connection to him now. I guess he stuck around to watch for a little bit. As we're coming to the end of lap 10, Alex Gillen does the fastest lap of the race at 1:35.5, just exactly as you were saying. The dry tires at this stage in the race probably doing about 1:35s, and pretty much nailed that prediction. As you got DRS at the beginning of lap 11 here. Oh, it looks like the Red Bull and Lotus are going to be going side by side. And the Lotus has just barely edged him out, and still running in very close formation through these S's.
Yeah, trying to avoid the dirty area here. Going on a little bit different lines than Raiden up ahead.
Absolutely, and doing a fantastic job of it as well. So we come to the end of Sector 1, start of Sector 2. And it looks like the Lotus is starting to pull away. That's Gaston, I believe. Gaston is starting to pull away a little bit from the Red Bull that he's passed.
Yeah, and little bit of spray still coming from the tires, but giving almost perfect grip.
Yep, you are doing a little bit of short shifting, just the right amount, honestly, to make sure that you're gripping with your full potential as you're coming out of these slow corners, such as that last hairpin. And oh, we got a Fat First has gone very wide. Looks like there might have been a little bit of contact with Raiden at the Sister Toro Rosso team, and they're going to be going side by side now, actually. But it looks like Fat First has gotten a better exit, and Raiden's going to slot in behind and try and get a slipstream off of him. You got the inside line for 130R though, and taking lots of curb in an effort to avoid him. And it looks like you've taken that position, actually, moving yourself up into P6.
Yeah, I was going on the. Was trying to get as much curb on the inside as possible to not push him off the track, but that came out a little bit too much. But he just seemed to give up a little bit after the corner.
Yeah, and got a fantastic exit coming out of the final corner. Much better exit than Fat First did, and with the use of DRS was able to just fly right by him. You know, forget going side by side into the corner. Just pass him on the straights is the smarter way to do it. And that moves you up into P5 now, just behind Gaston Rivero, who has pulled out a little bit of a gap now, so you got a little bit of a job ahead of you if you're going to catch Gaston and pass him. But it looks like he's actually closing down the gap to whoever's in third at the moment, who I believe is Onage.
Yeah, at this point I'm really trying to... Oh, was that look my tires?
No, and your front right just dips in the grass. That's going to drop you down to P8, P9, and here comes P10, and some amazing Codemasters physics ensures that you actually drop down to P11, and then P12. Unbelievable. That is really disappointing. You just kind of drop that front right into the grass ever so slightly, and somehow magically that caused both front tires to lock and just send you right into that gravel that we were talking about at the beginning of this video, and that's really damaging. And unfortunately the pack was just running in such close formation. You know, even losing out on 8 seconds is dropped you from
8 seconds.
From almost 4th down to almost 11th, so really unfortunate. And I gotta imagine though that you think that you have the pace to at least move yourself up into a points-paying position. You're not too far behind 10th place at the moment.
Yeah, I was so frustrated because of that, but that was totally my fault.
Whoa, as a couple cars going...
Contact, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of contact. It looked like they were almost off the track there. That looks like it's Chicane and Jack first. Going through turn 1, possibly some contact, possibly someone ran a little wide. But definitely something between the two of them. But it looks like Chicane has come out ahead in the meantime.
Looking like there's a big gap after Chicane to the 3 cars running ahead of them, so... Looking to pass these guys as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, because with Dark Lord out of the race, unfortunately, at this point, it's looking like 0 points for Sauber, and it is a very close race in the midfield as far as who's going to come home with 4th, 5th, and 6th, and so on in the Constructors' Championship. So these are certainly important points to get as you're looking towards the inside of this corner, and oh wow, Furkan just barely edges you out there, actually. Takes the inside line through Spoon, and very nice defending from him there. As you've got really, lots of curves, though.
He seems to be using his curves and maybe a rich mix.
Yep, very likely. But it's certainly looking like at the moment you've probably got the pace on him, as again you're saving tons of curves, just kind of using that slipstream. Oh, and he's gone very deep. I don't think that's the first time we've seen him gone deep into that final chicane, and that's going to gift you P11. And not too far behind Jack First, actually, here. It looks like you guys have closed that down ever so slightly. Got DRS on him now. I'm not sure if Furkan got DRS or not, but Chicane and Jack First almost going side by side again through turn 1, and that's going to give you a nice run on Jack First here, but no chance to make any sort of pass in the opening stages of the S's here.
Yeah, definitely not a passing location, or the first part of Spoon wasn't also overtaking place per se.
Hey, if it works, it works. Sadly, it didn't in that occasion, but no penalty for trying, certainly. Nobody got shunted off the track or anything like that, as Jack First has a little dip into the gravel there at the exit of the second Degner. And breaking down now for the hairpin and running in very close formation. The final 4 cars all very close together here. First, second, and third still very spread out up at the front, but it does look like that Alex and Onage are catching Tremium, who pitted early for those prime, I assume prime tires, and going through Spoon curve here and very close to Jack, using some curves and some rich mix.
Yeah, and there's a big gap between Chicane and whoever's in 8th place.
Yeah, unfortunately, the battling that the four of you guys are sort of doing, as you almost touched Jack first, I think there may have even possibly been a little bit of a lag bubble moment there, but everybody comes out just fine as they were. And you got DRS now and had a little bit of Kurz as well, nicely in the slipstream of Jack first, who also has DRS, however, though. And he possibly may have used some Kurz as well, and it looks like you guys had pretty similar top speed, so no chance to make a pass there at the beginning of lap 15. Gonna stay closely behind.
My gears were all the way to the right because I actually predicted that if I go any lower, then I'm gonna have a bad time trying to overtake anybody because of the DRS on the main
Interesting. Interesting. I wouldn't have expected full gears actually, but I mean clearly it's paying off. And as you said, if you had gone any lower than that, it probably would have been a problem for you. But that's definitely interesting. I don't think my Japan setup has full gears. But that's more for career mode and that sort of thing. Going through the hairpin now, looks like Chicane's gone a little wide and possibly even gotten into the grass a little bit. And that's going to move Jack first right up behind him. And he's getting a little bit of slipstream as you get the same slipstream off of Jack first. And your tires are looking pretty worn at this point.
Yeah, they're, what, maybe 6 laps old at this point. So at this point I'm thinking, when do I pit? It's there. I'm not getting past these guys.
Yeah.
Like flying past at least. So
yeah.
But let's have a look what I do in the final chicane.
Go into the inside first. And actually going side by side through it, and very nicely done. As you get oh my god, holy cow! I was gonna say you get a little bit of oversteer, but that turned into a lot of oversteer. I mean, you were aiming directly at the pit entrance for a second there. It looked like almost a repeat of what Dark Lord did earlier in the race was about to happen. Thought maybe that barrier was going to collect both Saubers, but no, able to hang on to it and didn't lose too much time. You're out of the DRS range at the moment, I think. But again, these three are very similar paced and probably going to be battling each other. Chicane's got a little bit of a gap now, but still, it's looking like your pace is pretty good, and you very likely can still grab this ninth place position in the second half of this race.
And there's a few cars behind already who's pit for.
Oh, yeah, we had some people
tires,
pit. I have completely missed that. Thank you for mentioning that. So actually, you're in P10 at the moment. It's a net P12 after you pit, of course, but at the moment in the points. And again, closing down actually Furkan Azjan, and back down to standard mix and through Spoon, and getting lots of dirty air and understeer, missing the apex ever so slightly. Nailing the apex for the second half of the corner and using just a little bit of the exit curve. And using a little bit more curves versus previous laps. Not quite as much curves saved up as some of the other laps. I got to imagine you've got to be thinking, if they, at least sometime soon, if they pit, then I'm going to stay out. Or if they pit, then I'm going to pit. Or if they don't pit, I'm going to pit, and that sort of thing. So, yep, and that's exactly what you do. Yeah, you get a lockup at the final chicane there, and I think that must have sealed the deal for you. As you decide to. I was pretty
frustrated because of all those mistakes, so I just thought, let's get some clearer. Let's see what I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Put on a fresh set of tires. Maybe do the fastest lap of the race, and just see what can happen in the clear air. As you actually haven't dropped too far behind Ryan LAD3. That is a pretty big gap, but you are on fresh rubber now, so you're going to be putting in probably low 135s, I would imagine, maybe even high 134s. So lap 17, you would have 11 laps to do, which you're definitely not going to be able to do on the options. So you definitely got at least one more stop to make after this one.
Yeah, and a little bit of desperation kicking in, I think, at that point. The pack was getting pretty spread out at that stage, so let's see how actually these option tires.
Ooh, yeah, a little trip into the gravel there.
Yeah, that doesn't help me too much, but yeah, these option tires don't last very long.
No, yeah, I gotta imagine
last maybe 4, 5, 6 laps maximum.
Yeah, probably the end of lap 20 is that what we're seeing right now as we skip to the middle of lap 20, as we're in sector 2 at the moment, ahead of Chicane and behind Ryan L83 at the moment. So you have jumped those 3 cars, but of course you've got one more pit stop to make, and the game is actually telling you to do it on lap 21. But do you know, are you pitting at the end of this lap?
I think end of this lap, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes
that's not looking good, because these guys behind me have already pit, but I'm still pit stop behind them. So
yeah, they are definitely less than a pit stop's distance, all 3 of them. So absolutely, when you pit, you will definitely be coming out in 12th place, but you will be on fresher rubber than the rest of the grid, as Gaston Rivero does a 133.4, fantastic lap from him. I gotta imagine that's on primes, and you do go on the prime tires to do the final 7 laps of this 27-lap race, and should be no holdups in the pits, as there's no one else pitting. And that does, in fact, drop you down to 12th, behind Grandu, who's actually in 11th at the moment. I'm wondering if that's because of some strategy thing or a mistake, but he's currently in P11, and he's got quite a gap to the 3 cars that you were racing with earlier, and an even bigger gap, unfortunately, between you and Grandu.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the first time this season that I've actually been last for a couple of laps, so not a great feeling.
Well, I've been there, so I can sympathize with you. I'm totally patting your back over the internet right now. They're there. It's okay. As we come into the hairpin to finish, or I'm sorry, as we're going through sector 2 here, and I'm wondering what Grandu's got to be on the prime tires. Do you remember what lap he pit on?
Yeah, I can't remember his strategy at all, so I don't know what's happened to him.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to pit after you. I think pitting is officially over. No more pitting. So we're going to skip ahead now to the end of lap 25, start of lap 26, penultimate lap of this race. And you have closed that gap down, and actually Grandu has managed to pass Jack first for the final points-paying position in this race. Alex Gillen in the lead at the moment with a healthy gap over P2 as he's going through the hairpin right now in Sector 2. And actually not a huge gap. The field is pretty spread out, but it's not too bad. We're not seeing any lapped cars or anything like that. For the most part, everybody's pretty much in the same sector. It's really just Alex being pulled so far ahead that's making it look even more spread out than it actually is. And 2.5 seconds behind Jack first at the moment, and it's looking like his pace is not great, actually, as Granu has pulled away quite a bit, and you are closing this gap down pretty significantly.
Yeah, I think the gap before the first sector was 3.5, so I've closed down 1 second in the first sector alone.
Wow, wow, yeah,
so
which
that was pretty much, yeah, that was pretty much what I was expecting from some of the guys that decided to do only one pit stop after the safety car.
Which is exactly what I was thinking in my head when I saw that safety car on about lap 10 or so. I was thinking, I wonder if you could just one stop this after the rain now.
Yeah.
But clearly, Jack First is struggling heavily with his tires, and the times in Sector 1 are what really show that, because Sector 1 is all about tire life and quick change of direction. So the fact that you're faster in Sector 1 definitely indicates that he's struggling with the tires, and there's another clear indicator that he is struggling with the tires as you just fly right by him. Really no contest there. Yeah,
the first right-hander, you can see how his left front must have been just absolutely destroyed, had no grip whatsoever.
I mean, even your front left isn't looking so great, so yeah. I think we can kind of imagine just how bad his front left is. If he's even a lap older tires than you, his front left has got to be, as you said, just absolutely destroyed. Braking very late for this hairpin, pushing very hard to try and get this final point. See if we can get 1 point at the end of this race using lots of curves and rich mix, and not too far behind Furkan Ajin at the moment. Pretty big gap in front of him, though, unfortunately. So it's looking like 10th place at best as we're on the final lap of this race. Coming through Spoon.
I was thinking, okay, I'm just gonna use rich mix till it goes down to -1.
Absolutely.
So I'm just gonna try to drain the fuel tank as much as possible.
Absolutely. As Alex Gillen wins the race, congrats to Alex for winning that race. Breaking down now for the final chicane, and very close to Furkan. Got a little bit of a corner cut warning, but who cares? It's the final lap of the race. And wow, look at that finish up ahead. You just narrowly miss out on 10th place, but wow, what a finish at the end there from Granu Chicane and Ryan L83. The three of them within 0.5 of a second together. Onage with the 10-second penalty, was that did that get removed?
I don't know actually. So
okay, well, Onage tends to watch these.
Yeah, it was.
It was removed.
It was.
Okay. So yeah, Onage's penalty is removed. That gives him 3rd place as newcomer Gaston Rivero, again with a fantastic performance, finishes in 2nd place, just under 4 seconds behind Alex Gillen. And unfortunately, it is a 0-point race for Sauber. Definitely unfortunate. Really sad that I couldn't be there, but again, I will be there for India, so you guys don't have to worry about that. In the points, Gaston Rivero moves ahead of myself and Chicane with his second place finish. He got 18 points for that. Fat First moves ahead of teammate Jack First with his 4th place finish, and you maintain your position in 6th place, only 7 points behind Jack First, who also failed to score points here in Suzuka. Again, Alex won the race. Big congrats to him. Onage in 3rd, and Granu comes home in 7th. Ryden, a strong performance in 5th place, and really interesting racing here today in Suzuka. For the Constructors Championship, Ferrari still in the lead with Mercedes only 9 points behind. Red Bull still in 3rd with Sauber in a distant 4th, and McLaren only 9 points behind us. Toro Rosso, with Zephyr being gone, unfortunately misses out on some points as well, and Williams only 8 points behind Toro Rosso, and Lotus bringing up the tail end. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks everyone for watching, and join us next time where we'll both be racing, and that'll be at the Bud International Circuit in India.
Yeah, we'll see you there.